Hey guys, what's up? Alan here from C'est La Vie 3. It's just C'est La Vie 1 right now. Today I'm here to talk to you about our very first project, and that is the installation of 2014 Toyota Sienna seats. Alright, that's for me rambling. I'm going to go ahead and start showing you guys some videos of the install. Alright, to begin the install process, it was a lot of measuring. So, frankly, nothing got done. Heather and I basically sat here and stared at the floor of the van non-stop for what seems like a solid hour to 2 hours, just trying to figure out what was the best setup for the seats. Everybody I've talked to says you're better off mounting the chairs up on the high side or these bumps versus in the valley. Does that make sense? So like if you have to bolt a chair through something, bolt it through the top piece. Sorry, my hand's shaking because I've been holding that metal like just death grip all day. Yeah, you're better off mounting your chairs on top of the hills instead of in the valleys. It's something about strength. I went and looked up a couple things. It sounds like that's just the standard practice for everybody. We don't have that option. The feet is spaced just right that it'll fit in between these valleys here, but it won't fit snugly on top of the hills. So like the pattern changes halfway through over here, and it changes about halfway through right here. So what we're gonna do is we're going to mount this seat in the valleys right here. This seat, I'm gonna have to build the floor up in order for it to mount, because I have to fit it up here on this hill, and the only place it's gonna land is right here in this valley. So what I've done is I've purchased a piece of 1/4-inch flat stock. I think this was like $4 or $5 from the local metal guy that's here that does welding and some other fabrication. It's a mild steel. It's got like 30,000 psi tensile strength. It should get the job done for us. And it's exactly, thank you Ram or Fiat, whoever designed this, this is exactly a 1/4-inch high. This is exactly a 1/4-inch high, so we'll have a level surface. After we got all the bolts lined up with where we were gonna position them, we had to start working on the track. Now the track, it was pretty set to go, with the exception of some small pieces on the flat side of the track where it mounts to the van, and it would make it uneven. So we had to go get the grinding wheel, and we took those off. That was rather time consuming. So when I build the floor and the insulation up, my goal is to try to keep it just about the same height, so that way it kind of looks like it's recessed into the floor between the insulation, the plywood, as well as the vinyl top. That shouldn't be a problem. It should look spot on. So here's the last piece. In order for this to work, I'll try to bring it up close to the camera. We got a couple things going on here. We've got the factory bolts, but in between the factory bolts, we have these like retention clips that kind of snapped into the car originally, or into the van I should say. These got to go because they kind of leave a little bump here and they won't allow it to sit flush. In addition, it has like these alignment pins, so they're not threaded. Those also need to go. So we're going to take a Dremel tool or a cutting wheel, and we're just going to right down the middle of this. Not do any serious damage to it, but clean it up, get it nice and flat, and that'll allow us to go ahead and start mounting these in the car and get them measured and squared. So that's where we're heading with this. It might be time for the bigger dogs. This is a quick before and after, so You can see before, after, before, after. I'm gonna do it from up here. Before, after, and then the one in between, before, after, and then one alignment pin, and lastly, one last clip here, and then after. All right, there they are. Next step right now, they're all painted. All the bolts have been smoothed out. Just got to go through it in the van and start doing a mock-up for the fitting and cut the support brackets that are going to go underneath. And then after we were done with the prepping the tracks, we went to the van. To begin, we measured everything 2 and 3 times, and then we made a template. And now this template, we used the flat stock piece, and we marked where the holes were going to be so they would line up with each one of the tracks. The great thing about this is that I wouldn't have to double guess where I was going to be drilling my holes, and I could just lay out the track, put it down, spray paint or mark it, hold it there while I drilled the holes, and everything would line up. Alright, here is a tricky part. We need to transfer the bolt pattern exactly on center to this flat stock metal, and then this metal piece will become our template so we can lay it down in the van and mark the holes and make sure everything's square. This is tough because most of these metal, they aren't exactly straight, so take your time when you make a template. After those were done, we touched it up with some Rust-Oleum and we came back to the van. Now is the time of do it right. So we doubled and triple checked our measurements, and then after 40 minutes of just staring at the spot where I was supposed to drill the hole, I made my first cut in the van. It was painful.
You messed up, I have proof?
Yeah, it's recording.
Oh, okay.
So this is the most terrifying part. So we made a template for the chairs. We've got it lined up, we've marked out, we've checked underneath. The only thing I don't know for sure is the thickness of the floor. Some guys have told me it's anywhere from like a 1/16 to a quarter in certain spots. I'm like, that is a huge disparity or difference. So I'm going to do a test drill to figure out if once we only need this for one seat, and once we mount it through, so that way we have a level seat, because we were talking about the hills and the valleys, then that'll be the dun dun dun. I'm speechless right now because I'm just terrified about what I'm about to do. So let me I'm gonna line these up, and then I'm gonna drill a pilot hole with the smallest drill bit I own. That's to see what's the thickness of the floor. Because if the thickness of the floor is too thick, then we're really in a lot of trouble, because the tracks that we have, I can't take the bolts on and off. I'll have to literally cut all the bolts off and like remount like grade A hardware bolts that are like 8 inches long. That's gonna be. You saw how hard it was just to get the little pressed on brackets off. All right. Wish me luck.
Good luck. Well, you through?
I'm through. That is super thin. I'm thinking that the guy who told me it was a 1/16 or an 1/8 is right.
That's good. That's what we wanted.
Good. That means that we can use this to reinforce the seat brackets and not have to replace the manufacturer's bolt on the Toyota. All right. We're gonna bolt. We're gonna cut bigger holes now, and then we're gonna put the first track in here, and then we'll set it up for the second track. stomach hurts. The next piece, reinforcement. Do not try to put these in the van without any type of reinforcement. The floorboard on these things is maybe a 1/4 inch thick at the thickest, so try to avoid not having reinforcements. What we used is just a simple flat stock, 1.5 inch flat metals, 48 inches long. We basically made reinforcements that go between the cross members, so they bolt to each one of the cross members, and then they go along each one of the middle of the rows. The front bolts, I don't have a good picture because it's really hard, but they mounted straight into the main cross member up in the front, and we bolted those down. And then the backs, we actually ran a horizontal bar, which would tie in all of them and keep it square so nothing would shift out of alignment and prevent us from using the tracks. I got metal shavings all in my hair right now. Hang on, I'm trying to fish one out. Okay, here's the skinny right now. We have gotten all of those bad boys bolted through, and now they're coming through the bottom of the van. However, the metal floor is not strong enough to hold the capacity. You got to reinforce it. So what I've done is I've gone and gotten 1/4 inch, 1.5 inch wide, 1/4 inch thick mild steel. This has like a I can't remember what a tensile strength of like 30,000 psi. I mean, it's ridiculous how strong this stuff is. So I've mounted or I've taken holes, and these correspond to the bolts from the underside, which I'm going to show you in just a sec, of where these are coming through. And what this is going to do, this bar particularly is going to mount forward to backwards, parallel with the vehicle, front to back, and that's going to stop or strengthen between two cross members, the forward and back, and then also wedge up into the cross members. So I'll show you this one, and then we have a third which is going to run horizontal with the actual van. Oh my god, I got like turkey neck going here. Which will run horizontal with the van, side to side, and that'll tie in both sides of the seats and keep everything nice and square so the tracks don't move around, and it allows them to continuously slide back and forth without anything coming out of square and then possibly jamming up the tracks so they can't go any further. So let's go crawl under here and take a peek at what we got so far. So each track, you can't get the best of both worlds. You're just gonna have to look while I talk, I guess. So each track comes with 4 bolts. There's one that goes way up here, and I'm bolting this back up right now, but it goes way up there. And then you have one set back here, and then you got one of these, and those run so, and this is the very last bolt in the back. You got 1, 2, 3, and the fourth one runs to the other side of the cross member. And so we're going to run a piece, another flat stock that's going to run horizontal with these. Oops, sorry. It's going to run horizontal with these, and it's going to keep everything square. Whereas this guy here, he's going to be responsible for all the forward and backwards motion. So what we have here, this is the forward cross member, mid cross member. This bar sits wedged in between them, and they are going to be screwed in from the seats into these cross members themselves. So they sit underneath the lip here, and that's going to keep everything from moving forward and backwards. The next thing after that, hit everything with Rust-Oleum again and make sure you don't leave anything to be exposed to the elements. We went back, added Loctite, lock washers, and nuts, and that was it. We bolted everything down. So it's amazing how long it took for us to actually install something that had 16 bolts, 16 nuts, almost 10 hours. So this was an awesome project, and it was our first one, and it felt great to get this thing in the van. It's really starting to add our own touch, our personality to the van. That's about it. If you guys have any questions, comments, feel free to throw them down below. We'll be happy to listen to them. And as always, don't forget to hit that subscribe button. And thanks so much for watching, guys.